Ethiopia's beautifying sugar project is said model for future development. Road safety education to be included in Ethiopia's curriculum. And South African President Ramaphosa pleased with G7 vaccine support. Hello and welcome to this News Hour. I'm Daniel Kasahon with the news. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed called upon Ethiopians to exercise their civic duty and leave a generational print through the upcoming general election. The Premier said a week from today, Ethiopians will cast out vote in the 6 general elections, which will be the nation's first attempt at free and fair elections. He added, saying, open quote, "As we got to the polls to exercise our democratic rights, I ask all Ethiopians to use the day to exercise our civic duty and leave a generational print." Close quote. The Prime Minister further urged Ethiopians to actively participate in the already started national tree planting campaign, thereby contributing to the successfulness of the Green Legacy initiative. A renowned global chairman of Fairfax Africa Fund, Zamadin Ngatu, said, "Beautifying Sugar project is a wise decision of Premier Abiy Ahmed to attract quality investment to Addis Ababa." The Economist lauded this Mescal Square project that incorporates state-of-the-art technology. Demis Mokria reports.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed disclosed the 29 billion beautifying sugar project almost a couple of years ago. Since then, the city has been working around the clock to make different projects a reality. The latest inaugurated Mescal Square project is one of the mega development projects that have been going across the capital. The project, according to a renowned economist and investor Zamadin Ngatu, enables the city to compete with other capital cities to attract investors who look for quality of life.
Ethiopia intends to be a major economic hub in East Africa. And Addis, as the capital city, has to be able to compete to attract investors who would be looking for quality of life. I mean, I can tell you a lot of businesses, multinationals now set up their headquarters in our neighboring countries, even though their main operation, their factories might be in Ethiopia, because there are some things that are missing to enhancing the cosmopolitanness of Addis. So when you look at investments like this can't be the only one, right? As I said, there are a lot of others that are being opened. I recently visited a lot of these projects that were recently completed or in the process of being completed. So you need to look at it, where is the country going? It's the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa, so the city has to reflect that.
The state-of-the-art Mescal Square project incorporates an underground parking lot enough to accommodate about 1,400 vehicles, 6 LED advertising screens, shops and office centers, among others. This, according to Zamadin, allows Addis to host international events that can pay back the city over the years.
It attracts a lot of domestic tourism, also international tourists, for a variety of events. I mean, it's now been done in such a way that it can accommodate people comfortably, but also, as you can see, a lot of screens are here. But look at this as one of many. As you know, Addis is one of the biggest cities in Africa. It's the home of the African Union, lots of diplomats, but lots of tourists also come here for business and pleasure. So to have one more destination to be able to come and relax.
Zamadin appreciates the move taken by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to beautify Addis for its residents and the diplomatic community. He underscored that neither beautifying sugar nor Mescal Square projects are vanities, as some criticize them depending on priority.
I've lived in a lot of countries. I've lived in a lot of cities from Latin America to the US to Canada to the Middle East. And I can tell you, if you look at Dubai, what did they do? They created a huge metropolitan area, city, out of the desert by investing in infrastructure. And people used to tell them the same thing. These are vanity projects, you're building. No, you need to be forward-looking. You need to anticipate what is coming next. We have to have an open mind.
Addis Ababa inaugurates one of its face-changing projects, the Mascal Square Development Project. This project has been constructed over the last 9 months around the clock, and it cost us around 2.5 billion. This Mascal Development Project is expected to have many folds of benefit to Addis Ababa in particular, and to the entire country at large, both in terms of enhancing tourism and changing the face of a city.
That was Damas Mokhrea reporting from Mascal Square. A consultation forum organized by Minister of Peace in partnership with the Ethiopian Reconciliation Commission to promote the critical role of traditional reconciliation mechanisms in conflict resolution kicked off today in Addis Ababa. The 3 days consultation forum has brought together over 200 participants consisting of religious and traditional leaders as well as Bagedas and the youth drawn from all over the country. The consultation forum is expected to discuss in detail on the potential of traditional conflict prevention and reconciliation mechanisms in Ethiopia with a view to enhance peace and coexistence in the country. The participants are also expected to discuss on issues of enhancing and strengthening the existing traditional reconciliation mechanisms in various parts of the country. Traditional reconciliation mechanisms play a big role in creating peace within the country.
Policy Matters is a conversation platform which aims to provide reasoned analysis and context to the activities, reforms, and policies of the federal government of Ethiopia. Exploring various reforms the government is undertaking, the conversation platform aspires to enable nuanced and informed understanding.
So once the proclamation was enacted, the next phase of the work was establishing Ethiopian Communications Authority from the ground up. This started with really establishing the institution independently to make sure that it's accountable to the Prime Minister's office, but at the same time have independent board members.
Now, the bid, as I mentioned, is over 8 billion over a decade. And it reflects the highest FDI investment to Ethiopia. What really stood out?
This process will create over 1 million, from 1 million to 1.5 million new jobs.
Now, we've also learned that the sale of the second telecom license will be postponed and re-auctioned in the coming months. Can you help us understand what drove that decision? And in your response, maybe also touch on the announcements around infrastructure and mobile money deployments.
The North Star is for the government to continue to open up the sectors that would allow further economic growth, and allow the entrepreneurial spirit of the youth is fully captured in a formal sense, whereby they will be able to generate revenue for themselves, but also for the government through tax.
You are watching the live transmission of this news hour. Road safety education is to be included in Ethiopia's curriculum starting from the coming September. For the last 3 years, Minister of Transport and Ministry of Education have taken different measures to incorporate the traffic regulations and road safety into Ethiopia's curricula from pre-primary school to secondary school. In an exclusive interview with ETV English, Getachew Mokhrea, Minister of Education, said this is a paradigm shift to road safety at early age in schools across the country. Jerusalem Betzaha reports.
According to the Ministry of Transport data, in the 2019 up to 2020 budget year, 4,133 people died of road transport accidents. This has shown a slight improvement compared to the previous year. more than 12,000 people sustained heavy and light physical injuries. That's why Ministry of Transport, in collaboration with Ministry of Education, stepped up efforts to road safety education to include it on the country's education curriculum starting from the coming Ethiopian New Year. Talking to ETV English, Minister of Education Getahun Mokra said this education system will make a difference in the awareness of road safety at early ages of schools in the national level.
This is a major shift in the Ethiopian curriculum, in the Ethiopian education, in such a way that we are now mainstreaming the road safety curricula or traffic rules and regulations into our main curriculum. So this is going to change the whole culture of how we raise our kids in terms of knowing road safety, so that it's not when they start to take driving license that they know rules and regulations of road safety, but rather from their childhood, from the very early stage, they are going to be taught how to what the rules are, what the regulations are, what the science indicates, the speeds and everything. So this is one of the main and the major shifts that we have introduced into our new curricula that's going to start in the coming September in all of our schools we have here in Ethiopia.
Getahun added preparations are finalized to launch the road safety education as of the coming September.
In 100% of our schools, this curricula is going to be implemented. In terms of preparation, now we have finalized the preparation of the curricula, and in the coming 1 or 2 months, we will be finalizing retraining of our teachers, and it doesn't take us long because it's a very standard traffic laws, regulations and laws. So we are going to train all our teachers in the coming 1 to 2 months time. So once we do that, then it's going to be mainstreamed on different subjects like the mother tongue, English courses, and also in the environmental science course that students are going to take. So in terms of preparation, yes, we have done a great deal of it, and some remaining ones are to be done in the coming 1 or 2 months' time.
Dagmawit Moges, Minister of Transport, on her part said the ministry has been working with Addis Ababa University to scale up the road safety education at master's level.
የትራፊክ አደጋን ዘላቂነት ባለው መልኩ ለመቅረፍ የሚያስችለን መሰረታዊ መውጫ መንገድ ነው፣ መፍትሄ ነው ብለን አምነናል። የተለያዩ የትራፊክ አደጋን ለመቀነስ የሚያስችለን የመንገድ ደህንነት ትምህርት በቅድመ መደበኛ፣ በመደበኛ እንደዚሁም በቅርቡ በአዲስ መልኩ ተከልሶ ተግባራዊ በሆነው የጎልማሶች ትምህርት ከዚህም በተጨማሪ የትራፊክ አደጋ መንስኤና ምክንያት ናቸው ተብለው የተለዩትን ችግሮች ምላሽ ለመስጠት ወይም ደግሞ አድሬስ ለማድረግ እንዲረዳን አንዱ ችግር ተብሎ የተለየው ፍጥነት ነው። እንደዚሁም ለመንገድ ትራፊክ አደጋ ችግር ናቸው ተብለው ከሚታዩት ውስጥ አንዱ የመንገድ ዲዛይን እና የመንገድ ግንባታዎች እንደሆኑ ይጠቁማሉ ጥናቶች። ይሄንን ስራ ይበጥ ለማስፋፋት የሚያስችል ስፔሻሊስቶች ያስፈልጉናል ብለን እናምናለን። በዚህ መነሻነት የማስተርስ ፕሮግራም በሮድ ሴፍቲ ከአዲስ አበባ ዩኒቨርሲቲ ጋር ተቀናጅተን እንደ አንድ ስፔሻላይዝ የማድረጊያ ዘርፍ road safety ይሰጣል ማለት ነው ካሁን በኋላ በአገራችን።
With only 1.2 million vehicles, Ethiopia is registering one of the worst accident rates in the world. More than 68% of the accident is caused by driver's error.
Good evening to you all, dear viewers. In this edition, we'll be taking a glance at Shillala, the Ethiopian traditional battle cry. Ethiopians have long been known for their courage and defiance against foreign enemies. By way of warming up for a fight and showing their readiness, Ethiopians brag about their strength, their mercilessness against the enemy, and so on and so forth. Thus, Ethiopians do the battle cry while walking back and forth. A typical battle cry, or shillala, is done with the sword on one hand. Alternatively, others carry both the sword and the shield during battle songs.
You're watching this news hour. China's top legislature, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, has adopted a law on countering foreign sanctions. President Xi Jinping has signed a presidential order to promulgate the law, which took effect immediately. Shfarala Kazmor.
A press release the Chinese embassy to Ethiopia has sent to ETV discloses that China's top legislature, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, adopted the law on countering foreign sanctions on June 10th. President Xi Jinping signed a presidential order to promulgate the law, which took effect immediately. According to the statement, the purpose of formulating this law is to counter, fight, and oppose unilateral sanctions on China imposed by foreign countries, safeguard national sovereignty, security and development interests, and protect the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese nationals and organizations. China firmly believes that non-interference in internal affairs is principle enshrined in the UN Charter and a basic norm governing international relations which must be observed by all countries. Now, talking about sanctions, it is a recent incident that the U.S. has unilaterally imposed visa restriction against Ethiopia, with the decision entertaining criticisms from Africa and beyond.
Despite very frosty relations between Moscow and DC, the counter-terrorism cooperation is ongoing between even Russians and Americans, and Ethiopia is a different thing because Ethiopia is not a global adversary for US, but a long-standing partner. So if you make sudden decisions to depart from this cooperation of very sensitive nature, I mean it's a big mistake, big loss for the US, because US needs for the global counterterrorism effort. It needs bases, it needs cooperation, it needs local knowledge. So I think it's pretty clear what is there on the table to lose if this is looked into.
My message is that to the Ethiopian brothers and sisters, this is not for us in South Sudan. The Western countries have meddled in our affairs. Even as I speak to you now, just a few days ago, they imposed on us sanctions. So this is not the first country that they're imposing sanctions. So we should not be worried about it. What we need to do is very important. Our unity as Africans and our unity as a region.
Back to the statement. In order to resolutely safeguard national sovereignty, dignity, and core interests and oppose Western hegemony and power politics, the Chinese government has launched multiple rounds of countermeasures against entities and individuals of relevant countries since the beginning of 2021. And in this light, it is necessary and vital and in a timely manner to formulate a specific law on countering foreign sanctions. There are 3 types of countermeasures in the law, which include refusing to issue visas, banning entry into China, invalidating visas, and deportation, sealing up, seizing and freezing movable, immovable and other types of property in China, prohibiting from conducting related transactions with domestic organizations or individuals. It also includes other necessary measures.
In business, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Enterprises Holding and Administration Agency have announced the completion of a key milestone in partial privatization of Ethio Telecom. Following the announcement of the privatization process that started in 2018, the government of Ethiopia is now ready to release an expression of interest, EOI, for the sale of a 40% stake in Ethio Telecom. This is in line with the appointment of Deloitte as a lead transaction advisor, who is now on the final stage of completing the preparatory work, which includes business plan, financial, legal, and tax due diligence and business valuation following global best practice. The issuance of the EOI as 15 June 2021 will allow international investors to express interest in acquiring a stake in Ethio Telecom, one of the largest telecom operators in Africa. Investors will be given 30 days to respond with an expression of interest. There are a number of services required for private telecom operators in Ethiopia. The Global Partnership for Ethiopia, first private telecom operator in Ethiopia, is expected to hugely impact Ethiopia's employment industry. Sautamrat has more.
There are a number of services required of private telecom operators in Ethiopia. The expansion of fifth generation network and delivering low orbit satellite services are among the obligations.
They will start the services with 4G. So literally the day that the Global Partnership for Ethiopia starts providing telecommunication services in Ethiopia, it would be a 4G service. And immediately after, especially in urban areas, they will provide 5G services. And they've also committed by 2023, they will have a low orbital satellite that will cover the entire territory of Ethiopia with 4G services. And of course, the $8.5 billion investment.
However, the major requirement is job creation by the private operators. The Global Partnership for Ethiopia, first private telecom operator in the country, for example, is expected to hugely impact Ethiopia's employment industry. The consortium is expected to create about 1.5 million jobs.
This process will create over 1 million, from 1 million to 1.5 million new jobs. As you know, we're in Ethiopia, we have 70% of our population is under the age of 30. And out of that 70%, significant number of of our population is looking for a job. They go to school, get education, and graduate, but still looking for a job.
Such huge impact on job creation is possible because the country's ICT sector will be optimally boosted up with the projected telecom advances, and this will speed up the job creation for a great many Ethiopians, including the global labor markets.
That you allow a young entrepreneurial Ethiopian with a fast internet connection, a laptop, that means you immediately allow them to join the global workforce. Our entrepreneurial skill set in Ethiopia would allow us to take a significant amount of the market share in terms of service export. So not only this would create directly the millions of jobs that's committed, but also the large number of unemployed youth, entrepreneurial but unemployed youth, the communication services opening up, and the introduction of the consortium with companies like Vodafone, Vodacom, Safaricom, CDC Group, and Sumitomo, collectively the telecom operators covering many different countries and providing services to over 1 billion subscribers is significant. So for me,